Welcome to edition 5 of Komie's Homies. I'm very pleased to have the one and only CB Hudson with us today.
What's
CB,
up,
how you doing, man?
I'm good.
Just a little background. CB was a guitar player in the band Blue October. I think he was involved with a couple platinum albums. We'll ask him all about that. But we are a pickleball podcast, first and foremost. And I think CB is a bona fide pickleball fanatic right now. So welcome to the show, CB.
Thanks, David. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
Good.
So I was thinking about how we met, and I think we met at Five Soul with a mutual friend who's total nut, Damien Spizzo. That's right?
That's it, man.
So I guess you saw that Spizzo's doing MLP Australia or something now?
I did, man. It's great.
Yeah. So he actually worked with you a little bit on your game for a while. Is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I remember when you first started, I mean, you were like, I think right out of the gate, you were like at least a 3.5.
Yeah, probably. You know, I didn't have any tennis background, but I played a ton of racquetball and a ton of ping pong. So that helped.
So, and then you got into it really quick, built a court at your house.
Correct. Yes.
Are you still in that house?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So how did you get introduced to pickleball? And tell us how you felt like when you first started playing. I mean, were you addicted right away, or how did that go?
Yeah, you know, I was my neighbor, actually, James Lorenz. We call him the professor. He teaches at Texas State. He was in an in-flight magazine. He saw kind of like those plastic tile courts, and his daughter played volleyball. So, you know, him and the wife kicked it around. They're like, yeah, let's do a court. He's like, I want to do pickleball. It looks super fun. I've never played. And we can do a multi-net. You know, we can raise it up for the girls. They put a basketball goal on it. And it was funny how the evolution of that, like literally the basketball goal finally disappeared.
Yeah.
Then he expanded the court.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he went to a legit net and all that stuff. But it really started one night I went over there and we were having a couple beers and just chatting. And he's like, dude, you got to check out this court I put in. And we walked down there. And I'm like, oh, wow, what's the square stuff? He's like, oh, that's pickleball. I'm like, man, what is that? You know, like I was like, that's an interesting name for a sport. And he was like, dude, you want to just hit a ball around? And I'm like, sure, why not? You know, so he had a few paddles and we just started smacking it around, you know, and that's how it really began. You know, we started kind of finding guys in the neighborhood that lived close that we were all friends with to come over and play. And then that went on for probably 2 years. And then it was actually before the Austin PPA, like the showdown or whatever in 2022 is when all of a sudden it was like, whoa, okay. Like it was October in 21, actually.
Yeah.
Like, there's more to this game. This is serious. This is a serious game. And that's when I really got into playing. I entered the Austin tournament with a friend of mine. We did 3-5 and we did 4-0 and we got smoked, you know, and I was like, dude, and the whole time that we're talking like, man, we're going to win this. Like, I feel really good about this.
Yeah.
And that's when it really started, you know, so I barely knew what a drop shot was. I barely knew anything. Definitely dinking was almost non-existent at that point. It was just, you know, just ripping balls back and forth, that kind of stuff. And then I just really dove into it. I started watching, you know, PPA events on YouTube and was like, oh, wow. You know, the drop shot. Oh, wow, that makes sense. And then I started working with Spizzo for probably about 6 months. I also worked with Lena Pedigamete. And Johnson Cola, and they're you know, Lena and John are great. I mean, Lena's just the biggest sweetheart on the planet, and John's super nice guy. Matter of fact, our kids go to elementary school together. So I saw him at the daddy-daughter dance. I'm like, dude, your kids go here.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's really where the obsession started, and just the overall exercise of the sport. I mean, it just changed really a lot of things about me. And I had quit drinking in June 1st of 2021. And so I was looking for something to kind of fill that hole. You know, it's like that was a big part of my life. And it just naturally, I just kind of gravitated towards pickleball for the exercise. I mean, you know, I was playing and I was just, sweating my ass off for,
Right.
for 2.5 and 3 hours. Sometimes we play for 4 hours.
Yeah.
We'd play so much that my body sometimes would almost shut down. And that's where it all began, and I just fell in love with it. And now, I mean, I played this morning. I was supposed to play at 1:30, but I totally forgot that I had my son's under 8 baseball draft.
Right.
I'm like constantly got pickleball on my mind. I literally scheduled this game. I had to call my buddies and go, "Hey, I'm so sorry, but I actually have to be somewhere." So they ended up playing on my court without me. But yeah, I mean, I just love the game. It's so exciting. It's fast. It's slow. It's a touch game. It's just there's so many facets of it.
There is, yeah. And for those of you who don't know, CB's in Austin, like me, and that's how he's got access to Lina Padegamaite, Johnson Cola's there now, Spizzo's there. I mean, all the pros live there. And so that's been great for you, huh, to be able to have access to these kind of people.
Yes, and I gained access to Lina through my neighbor James. He actually taught. Lina has I think physical therapy degree.
Yes.
And James taught that course at UT. Oh. So that's how they got acquainted. And in a lot of ways, James laughs. He's like, "Man, I think I'm kind of the one who told her about pickleball," because she was like a college, D1 tennis player, all that stuff. And he kind of takes credit for that. He's like, "Yeah, I'm the one who kind of got her into the sport," which
she's pretty new. She's pretty new.
Yeah. I mean, and she turned pro in like a month. So
yeah.
But yeah, man.
So I think I played at your house, and you used the neighbor's house so you could have 2 courts going at once.
Yes, correct.
And so you get some pretty good groups. I remember it was really competitive. I think we were playing, there was some money put in there and stuff like that.
Yeah, I haven't done it since. I need to do it again.
You're a pretty competitive guy. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, for sure.
So were you that way from the time you were a young one?
Yes. I mean, it was with anything that I do. It's like, I've never accepted like mediocrity. I'm not the guy who goes out and plays golf every Saturday, and shoots 110. That would just turn me off to the game. Even with golf, I went from an 18 to a 5. And then I realized I had to dedicate my life to the game, and I had a kid. I had a kid on the way. It was like, this isn't going to work,
Yeah. So with pickleball, so you really attacked it, right? You went and watched all the videos. You got the best pros you could have, and you really put the time in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I heard just today that you actually have now won some 5-0 tournaments. Is that true?
I haven't won. We placed my friend Ryan Peck and I. We placed 3rd at the what is it? Not the Mid-South Regional at Oasis in Dallas. It's slipping my mind. Not the Lone Star Classic. There's another one they had, and that was our first 5-0 appearance. So it was. I've got a couple 4-5 gold medals, and that's when it was kind of like we won 4-0. I was like, okay, let's go to 4-5. We won 4-5, and actually we won 4-5 last year at the Austin Showdown, and it was kind of one of those things where I had zero expectations. I was like, dude, this could be horrible, and we just, we pretty much dominated. We didn't lose a match, we didn't lose a game, so we just swept through it.
I played against you, and when you're hot with that high risk, high reward kind of game that you had back when I knew you, if you were hot, I could see you could blow through somebody. And then being just such an amazing competitive person who succeeded so much in life, you're probably a freaking handful for some of these mere mortals.
Well, and the funny thing is, like, my partner, he's a tennis guy. This guy he just rips balls, tons of topspin. He's a banger. So a lot of our points were just won just from his power. But my game has changed a lot. I'm focusing on, really rolling drop shots, rolling dinks, stuff like that, really trying to be aggressive, take time away from my opponent.
And how are you working on that? Are you drilling a lot now?
I'm trying to drill as much as I can. And fortunately, a lot of the guys I play with, I'll set up a drill session, and then, a couple hours before, he'll text me and be like, "Hey, dude, I got 2 guys to play. Let's play." And I'm like, okay. And that happens so much, but I need to step back from that and really focus on drilling and really getting those reps in, especially right now with trying to really roll my drops with tons of top spin and, the kind of the mid-pace drive that just dives over the net. and more about shot placement than power. I think that you kind of grow, and that's where I'm at right now. Trying to make smart shots, safe shots, know when to be risky and when to play it safe type stuff.
Yeah, and I remember you used to be able to really crank a serve. You still got that thing going?
Yeah, I still hit a pretty hard serve. In tournaments, I tone it down just because I want to keep it in all the time. But that's the other thing, working on the top spin. I'm working on kind of that high, deep, big bounce. It seems like a lot of these guys that I face in 5-0, and, I've played with like this guy from ETN, and there's a bunch of these guys, and they're, the 5-0 plus, I mean, they're all hitting these really heavy, deep serves, and it's so effective, especially when you're in tournaments and you got a tennis net 6 feet behind the line. I mean, it's really hard to get those back.
Yeah, your back's up to it, and then it's hard for you to get a good swipe at it, so you can get up to the kitchen line after that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I like the big topspin serve because gives you a chance while they're trying to get in. You can go and attack your third. You can get it at their feet. There's some space in there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So before pickleball, you did play some racquetball, and you said you played, was it table tennis?
Ping pong. Yeah, table tennis. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you do that as a young person?
Yeah, my dad, we had a ping pong table growing up. So it was like kind of, he'd get home from work. It's like, dude, let's go play ping pong, Dad. And, he took it easy on me, but built my confidence. And, I got pretty good when I went to Texas State, well, Southwest back then.
Yeah, Southwest.
I dated a girl from UT, and we broke up like in weeks of me getting there. And I didn't know anybody. And I would just go down to kind of like the rec hall or whatever, and would just start playing ping pong. And, I just started playing a ton of ping pong. And then when the Southwest back then, they had just opened their new rec center, and they had like 6, I think, brand new racquetball courts. And my roommate played, my other friend played, and we were playing. Like, I'd call and get it. You could only book an hour at a time. So I'd get an hour, he'd get an hour. We'd go in for 2 hours, and then we'd go lift. And we did that. I mean, we played tons of racquetball. I mean, I got a funny story about, we took racquetball as an elective.
No.
And literally, like, he's like, drill, and we drilled, and he'd leave because it was at more of like, I can't remember, like Strahan, or I can't remember where it was, but you could like walk above the court. So he would constantly come peek in and check out what we're doing. And, we'd look, okay, there he is. We'd start practicing. Then he'd leave and we start playing. Well, one day he walks in, he goes, you know what? I see you guys don't listen to me, so I'm going to show you why you should. I mean, dude, I beat the shit out of this guy. And he literally goes, okay, fine. Listen, you have an A in the course as long as you show up. So he no longer messed with my roommate and I. My roommate beat him too. So we would just go play, for our elective. So, and we aced the course for sure.
That's a good story. So you're from Oklahoma?
Yeah, born in Oklahoma City. Yes.
And how long did you live there?
Until I was 8 years old, and I was devastated when we moved. But then I immediately fell in love with Dallas, and I was there through '93 when I graduated from Lake Highlands High School, and then followed a girl. Even though she went to UT, I went to Southwest, and I already told you how that ended. But I'm glad I went there. I mean, I fell in love with the town, and if I wouldn't have gone there, I never would have got played for Blue October either, because they were based out of there. That's how I met them.
I want to get into all that, but when did you start playing sports or start playing guitar? Did that happen about the same time? Were you just a youngster?
Yeah, I was more sport orientated until, it's kind of funny. People give me shit about this a little bit, but the song that did it is back when MTV played videos. It was Dire Straits, Money for Nothing, Chicks for Free. And I was just like, my head just blew up. I'm like, dude, I want to do that on guitar. And so I went, it's like, Mom, Dad, can I please have an electric guitar for my 10th birthday? And I got one. And that's when that all began. I took lessons, and I was more of an ear player. I shrugged off the theory, which I kind of regret now, but that's where it began. It was one of those things to where I would get out of school and it was just, I want to go play guitar, like the bell would ring, and I would just like go home and play guitar,
And did you play in your room mostly?
Yeah. And my parents loved that because I always like tried to crank it up to 11,
Yeah. So what did you play when you were a kid? Did you play like a Strat, a Gibson? What kind of amps did you play? What did you like as a kid?
It's funny. I had, God, I think oh, good. I had an MP1 through like a Marshall. I can't remember, 9300, I think.
Oh,
Then
wow.
I got the JMP1, and I had the full
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like Rocktron and Teleflex and the
Yeah.
Sonic Maximizer. And I had this slowly I built this 12, 15 space rack, and that's pretty much what I used all through high school. And actually, until I joined the band, until I had to start lugging all that stuff upstairs and stuff. And then I was like, I need to downsize, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Before you had a guitar tech, right?
Yeah, before we had a guitar tech, exactly.
Um, so I was going to ask you, so were you in bands like in high school or junior high? Did you play like the dance? Did you use it to get chicks? How did that go?
Well, it's funny. The first band I was in jazz band at Lake Highlands High School, and my baseball coach, I was the starting pitcher, starting my junior year for our varsity team. And so he didn't like that. He's like, "What are you gonna do? You gonna play baseball or go to jazz band?" And I was like, "Dude, I love guitar. I'm gonna do both, coach." And
Yeah.
so, and that was kind of the first band I got. I played with a couple of guys. We just messed around, and honestly, the Blue October was the first band that I ever really joined.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I
That's incredible.
kind of got lucky, I guess you could say.
So your parents moved you to Dallas and you got kind of used to it. You got into sports, you got a guitar, you played mostly in your room, and then you followed a girl
Followed a
to
girl she went to UT, and I didn't get into UT, so I went
you went to Southwest Texas State.
well, I turned down the music program at University of North Texas. I got in. I mean, I had to submit like a classical like video or audio of me playing all that stuff, and they actually accepted me. And I sat there. I'm like, girlfriend, music school, and I at the time, in your 18 years old, you're full of dumb decisions. And I decided to follow her down to Southwest, which turned out not to be a dumb decision.
Not a bad decision. She must
Yeah.
be pretty hot though for you to give up music school.
Yeah, she was, but she had a few screws were loose for sure, man.
So you went to what is now Texas State, and you studied psychology.
I did.
Right?
That was my undergrad, and I'll never forget. I graduated. I had a business minor, and I went home, and I was like messing around, sleeping in. And my dad walked in one day, and he's like, "What are you gonna do?" And and my parents had given me a T-shirt, which I thought was kind of funny. It was like, "Oh, you have a liberal degree. Do you want fries with that?" And so it kind of I just wasn't ready to I wasn't ready yet. I felt like and business kind of like, I realized psychology, I wasn't that into it anymore. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to go to grad school. I'm going to get my MBA. And I studied, I got in, I think it's the GMAT, maybe, I can't remember. It's been so long now, but I passed and I got into grad school there. And that's when school became really exciting. I actually tried.
Right, because you were probably, it was thought provoking for you. It was challenging.
Yeah, it was. And I graduated undergrad with like a 2.7, and I graduated.
Right.
I never graduated from grad school. I actually joined the band before I finished, but I had like a 3.8 GPA. So I mean, it was funny how it switched gears. Like, I was the guy who's like, falling asleep in class, like, dude, yeah, whatever. To the opposite of that. Like, I would see somebody fall asleep in grad school, like, dude, I'm not going to talk to that guy. Like, dude, that guy's like, he's gonna fail. Like, I don't want to be like him. And I just took my studies seriously. I still had a good time, but I just changed some priorities around.
Yeah. Well, at Southwest Texas, though, I mean, that place was known pretty much as like a huge party school.
That's one of the reasons why I think they changed the name.
So you don't seem like a guy that would be in a frat or anything like that.
I actually did not, but I did rush, and I actually got a bid from Teak. Okay. And the Teaks, and it was kind of funny. I knew a couple of them, and they were all like, dude, you're right on. And then when I didn't show up to bid night, because I told them the whole time I was completely transparent. I'm like, I'm just kind of seeing what this is all about. I don't really know if this is my bag. I'm just checking it out. And sure enough, I decided not to do it. And it was funny how those two original friends were the only two Teaks that ever really talked to me again.
Yeah. So what were you into? So if you're not studying all the time and you've got all this time on your hands, did you work or did you play? What were you doing?
Oh, dude, I played. I stayed in Jackson Hall, and I was on the 10th floor. And I was right next to the RA.
Yeah.
and I would open that. They had these windows that kind of flipped up, and
Yeah.
I would just like crank my amps up and like like Joe Satriani or whatever, and I would just
Steve
play.
Vai.
Yeah, Steve Vai, Satriani, and I would just sit there and just like rip over their stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, I mean, there's a couple times I got knocks on the door, and it's like some chick. She's like, "Is that you playing?" I'm like, "Come on in,
Come on in.
come on in."
That's incredible. So then you're in grad school and you're serious about school. And how does the story go? You ran into the lead singer of Blue October in a coffee shop. Is that what I read? How did that happen?
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting. It was like a restaurant. It was called Kismet Cafe.
Oh, okay.
Which Kismet means fate. KIS Kismet MIT or something like. Anyway, and yeah, I had just completed kind of a little record that I did myself. I did it on one of those Roland. I can't remember the names of them now. They're so it's like a little gray thing. It was like this big,
like a 4-track or something.
It wasn't a 4-track. It was digital.
Oh, it was digital. Oh, I know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had just finished that, and I had just done the artwork. And I remember it just so happened that I had a copy of it in my car. I had just picked. That was like the only disc that I had. Like I kind of like printed it out and like made it, and it was like, okay, this is what it's going to look like. And when I ran into him, I had heard through the grapevine that they were having trouble with the current guitar player that was with him. And I just walked up to him. I was like, "Hey man, I'm CB. Here's my CD. I hear you're looking for a guitarist, like I'm interested if you are, whatever, here's my number, and I didn't hear for anything for about 3 weeks. And then I got the call, "Hey, we want you to come audition," and went and auditioned, and heard nothing for like a month. And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't get it," and
yeah.
And I got called back, and that day we jammed, and then they pretty much said, "Hey, give us a second." And they left the room. They came back in. They're like, "How do you want to go? You want to do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I just need to call my parents and tell them I'm dropping out of grad school, which that was an interesting conversation.
Oh yeah, I bet it was. How big was Blue October then at that point? They hadn't really had any hits yet, had they?
No, we were playing small bars, 20, 30, 40 people, around Houston, San Marcos, Dallas. I think we kind of hit the ground running at like Trees, which was in Deep Ellum. Probably like 250, 300 people tops, which we weren't selling it out anywhere close. And we did that I think I joined, it was the end of 2000. And, we didn't really have our hit until 2006 when Foiled came out, the song Hate Me. And it was a grind. We're in a Econoline van. There's like 12 dudes riding in it. It was uncomfortable. Definitely a young man's game. There's no way I could do it again, for sure.
But you knew, I guess, when it seems like you wanted to be in the band. I guess you saw something there.
I did. There was something. There was an originality that I saw, and they had their violinist. He was like ripping solos and stuff, which was funny. When I auditioned the second time, I actually like this song called Holler. Yeah. I ripped his solo along with him, and he was pissed. He was like, "That's mine. Don't ever do that again." I'm like, "Dude, I'm just having fun. Sorry." Yeah. And I still talk to Ryan. I mean, he's a great guy. And but yeah, it was a good time, and it was a lot of work, and it was definitely times where you're just like you just keep grinding and grinding and grinding. Is something really happening? And you're like, "Oh well, we had 40 people here 2 months ago. Now we got 50. So I guess we're doing something right." And then, like they say, it happens overnight when we released Foiled. Like we came off the road. I think it was like a 6 or 8 week leg, and we're just totally beat down. And our management, we have this like 5-way call, and they're like, "Okay, guys, guess what? Like Hate Me's climbing the charts. You guys are going to hit the road in like 3 weeks. I'm going to get prepared. Like you're rolling out in a tour bus." And we're like, "Whoa, a tour bus!" Yeah. And we did that run, and then we get the call, "Hey, we're rolling in 2 buses and a semi." And then by then we had a full crew. I mean, my days of setting up my own stuff were over, which was nice. I could sleep in until like 2 o'clock.
That's so good, yeah. So that was about the 6-year mark of you being in the band when it started really taking off.
Yeah, that was my second record with them. Yeah.
Now, were you a songwriter also in the band?
I wrote the music for 18th Floor Balcony. I wrote the music for the song Somebody, which was on History for Sale. and which was the first record that I recorded. It was after Considered Treatment. That was the first record I recorded on with him. And then I had songwriting credits for Dirt Room, which actually did pretty well. It was our follow-up record to Foiled. I think it peaked at like number 7 at Modern Rock.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was kind of things just the dynamics kind of changed. And I actually left the band in 2010 and went back in 2013 and then left again in 16 and was like, I had kids and a family by then. And I just realized that, you know what, like, this just isn't for me anymore. Like I would just get this feeling in my chest, like, you know, like, oh, I just don't want to go. I want to be with my family. And
Yeah.
when you come home from a 2-month run and your daughter's hiding behind your wife, you know,
Yeah.
It started to sink in pretty quick. Like, man, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. And so you were kind of, the band was big, like from 06 to 10 when you quit. Like, did you travel around the world to play?
Yeah, you know, Japan, Russia, all of Europe, Canada. I mean, I went to Hawaii once. That was a lot of fun, which is in the United States, obviously. But yeah, I mean, pretty much.
So.
And we just blanketed the U.S. And then we would do. I probably did when I was with them. I think maybe like 7 or 8 runs through Europe, something like that.
And I guess the guarantees were getting pretty big after. Yeah, did you have 1 or 2 platinum records, or
we had 1? Yeah,
1.
Yeah.
Were the guarantees getting pretty big? Like,
yeah, I mean, things changed for sure.
Things changed for sure.
We went from playing, 200, seater, bigger clubs to doing, 5,000-7,000, small amphitheaters, stuff like that. So it got to open for the Rolling Stones, which is amazing. I mean, those guys were so humble and nice. I bought them a big bottle of like this Magnum Cristal.
Yeah.
And Mick Jagger, obviously he's the singer. He's
not touching it.
He kind of stayed back about 15 feet from us, which I thought was weird until I realized, well, dude, he can't get sick. Like if he gets sick, the ship sinks,
Yeah.
So I gave the bottle to Ronnie, and I had a card. It was like, thank you so much for letting us open for the greatest rock band of all time. And, Ronnie's like, hey, Mick, look, mate, the good shit. So, we got to play with Kiss, Aerosmith. Oh gosh, there's more. Kiss, dude, those guys were a trip. Super nice guys. And unfortunately, Aerosmith, there's a funny story behind that, but we didn't get to meet them. I was bummed. That was in Dallas at Starplex, or the Smirnoff, or whatever they call it these days, which was extremely nostalgic for me because that's where I used to go. Poison, Metallica, Def Leppard, like all the hair bands I was super into. That's where I would go to see them. So it was a very emotional show for me. Just like, wow, like I did it. Like I'm actually on stage now looking out. And that was crazy, man. It was a great feeling.
Where did you open for the Rolling Stones?
Boise, Idaho.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was just a one-off deal. But
one-off.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have to ask you, but you don't have to answer, I guess. But like, I was at your house, and you have like, for those of you who don't know, super nice house with a pickleball court in like a great neighborhood. Is that from Blue October, or is it with some things that happened since, or?
Yes. And it was also from just being, smart with my money. I didn't just go blow it all, and this was back, 2007 when the market went to hell in 2008.
Yeah, right. And we had the real estate crisis in 08.
Yeah. And that's when it was just like, hey, this is a good idea to take all this egg. And when it got down, I think into like 18, 19K, the Dow. And then I just threw it all in there. And, obviously what's the Dow at now? 39,000. I mean,
yeah,
it just, that had a lot to do with it as well.
Oh, that's great. So people are running to the exits, and you're the smart guy running through the door during that time.
People, some stuff goes up the nose. You drink. Some people, it was a party. Buying nice cars and just spending, and
not you,
and not me. No, yeah.
So, did you invest in index funds, or you do individual stocks, or?
Just stocks mostly. I got into like Apple, and it was, which is done great. There's a bunch of them. I can't remember all of them back. That was like 15, 16, 17 years ago. But and just try to be smart, man, with everything. And I'm lucky too. My brother, he's an entrepreneur, and he also manages assets. So he definitely he helped a lot, and my dad as well. He's really good at that stuff too. So I had help, which was
that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no trial and error for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
because the error part sucks, I can tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, became like pretty much independent. You could do your own thing from 2010 until you went back with the band in 2013. Did you spend a lot of time with your family
I did. And golf.
and
That,
golf?
that's when I went from an 18 to a 5 and realized
Yeah,
to dedicate my life to the game. And I walked away from it. I've played 10 times since honestly, like,
I mean, you seem like a guy that when you're into something, you tear it to shreds, and when you're not, it's crickets.
yeah, I mean, I've always been that way. It's either on when it's on, it's on, and when it's off, it's off. It's crazy. Like right now, I'm in this like funk with guitar, and I haven't been playing much, and the
Yeah,
fire is dim right now. But something will grab me in the future, and I'll literally just dive back in head first. And it could be a year, 2, 3 years where I play a ton, and then. But sometimes these walking away from things for a while it's good for you. I mean, you kind of
yeah.
all bad habits and just all this stuff. It kind of goes away and you kind of come back and it's more of a muscle memory thing. And so I think it helps a lot, honestly.
Yeah, probably keeps it fresh.
Yeah, but not pickleball because then you lose your touch game.
Yeah, yeah. I had to take 4.5 months off because of a couple surgeries that I had, and yes, it takes a long time and slow build to get good at it, but it flies out the door really quickly.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're well, by the way, too. I heard about all the surgeries and stuff. So I'm glad you're back.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty much pain free now, so now I just got to get the game back, and so yeah. So, what brought you back to the band in 2013? They want you back? They need you back? Did you want back, or how did that come?
Yeah, yeah. So in 2010, I mean, it was a pretty bitter departure. The singer and I we just kind of, did this kind of stuff. And he was really messed up in drugs and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
which I didn't, I drank a lot, but I didn't take drugs. So he got sober and he called, he's like, "Hey man, like, I'm sober now and I want you to come back." And I did, and it lasted for a while, but then, that's when my daughter was born in 2012. So
yeah,
when it had changed during
yeah,
the 3-year break, like it had changed, like family became very important to me. And especially
yeah,
my kid, which I've got a second one now, is born in
yeah.
16. I kind of was like, who do I want to be? Do I want to be a dad that's here all the time and really a part of their life? Which that to me was, I wanted that.
Yeah.
And the music stuff just kind of, I was like, man, I just don't love it like I used to anymore. It really just changed.
Did it
And
become a little bit of I've been there and done that kind
yeah,
of thing?
yeah. And also just getting older and the lifestyle and, it's so repetitive. I mean, it's like wake up, interviews, sound check, you're trying to eat in between all this stuff. And then you do the show. And of course, we were partying. So it's like, after the show, you're amped up. So you drink till 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And then you wake up the next day and you're in a different town, different city, whatever. And you just do it all over again. And so
Yeah.
I gained a bunch of weight. I wasn't healthy. You don't eat well. It's just, I just wasn't in a good place. I was like, man, I just don't love this anymore, So that ultimately that's why I decided to move on.
So you stopped the band again in about 2016, and then I guess you're back spending a lot of time with your family, your kids, and all that. And then what were you doing? Because I know you got to keep busy. What else were you doing? What were you into in 2016? You hadn't found pickleball yet.
Well, in 2013, we opened Orb Recording Studios.
Oh, yeah.
So that had kind of, that took the driver's seat. Even though I don't produce or engineer, I kind of just make sure the lights stay on, go in and make sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. My partner, Matt Noveski, he still plays in Blue October. He's the bass player.
Yeah.
He's a producer, so he's in there a lot more than I am.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of, we got the studio kind of on autopilot, and we got great management. We got great engineers that kind of work through the place. And it's fun. I've met a lot of really cool artists that have come through there, and it's still plugging away. We got some AC issues right now we're dealing with, and Tuesday that should all be wrapped up just in time for South by. So I'm glad that worked.
That's great. I don't know if you knew, but I recorded a full length album there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Matt Noveski is the one that kind of got me in there, but Matt Melly was our engineer.
Yeah.
And I had John Moyer from Disturbed was my producer.
Yeah.
And well, I don't know if you know this, but there was a house behind Orb, and there was a guy back there. Anyway,
Kurt.
I rented that house. Yeah, world famous Kurt. Is it Kurt or Kirk? I can't remember.
We had issues with Kurt.
Yeah, he was bitching about to you guys all the time and all that.
He was the neighbor. I like, dude, like really, like he wanted to see like our building plans. I was like no, like the city's approved this stuff. You don't need to see our building plans.
Yeah,
it was really bizarre. But we got through it. He moved. He's gone now, which made us happy.
Yeah. So I rented a house back there for a while, and you were building. I never knew what was going on up front there. It's so fancy for a studio that I thought it was like a wine tasting place or something like that. And then I remember the day that it opened, there was like cars up and down the street. I could barely get into my driveway. And I think Justin Bieber was there first day.
No, he wasn't there. He did work there. I think that first South by. So we had only been
it was the first South by.
Yeah, we had just opened, and he came through there so unfortunately I didn't get to meet him. But like same with like Lil Wayne when he was there, I didn't get to meet him. Snoop Dogg came in and I tried to meet him, but he didn't show up till 2 a.m. and then I gave up at like 10:30.
Yeah. It's a beautiful facility. We didn't want to leave. I mean, it was a great place to record all day and all night and hang out and drink wine or whatever. It's great. So that's still going strong for you, huh?
Yeah. And when we built it, we tried to find a place that would work, and we realized that, hey, this isn't gonna work. We need to do our own place. So, we had been in studios in New York, LA, and all that. So we kind of took our favorite attributes from those different facilities and put it into Orb. We wanted it to be extremely professional, but like a really chill vibe, like no egos, none of that stuff, like a very creative, nurturing environment. And then we also wanted it to be comfortable because I've been into studios before where they don't have like a couch to sit on. You're standing in the control room. It's brutal, so.
Well, yours, you don't want to leave. You've got couch recliners and it's real fancy looking in there and nice. And I just remember those huge speakers in the main studio room.
Ocean waves.
Ocean waves. Yeah. Wow. There was something else. I mean, the sound in there is incredible. Yeah. So you still have Orb going. Are you playing music? You have some projects that you're in?
No, not right now. I mean, I haven't really been playing much the last few months, honestly. I'm coaching my son's soccer team, his baseball team. Yeah. My daughter's in competitive cheer. Like they're getting into that age now where it's crazy. It's like madness. It literally, even the wife and I sometimes, I feel like I don't see you anymore. Like she's over here with my daughter at cheer competitions, and I'm doing soccer practice but dude, it's so much fun. Like just getting to spend time with your kid and being the coach. Like it's just, man, we're bonding. I wouldn't trade it for the world, man.
I mean, you only really get one chance at your kid's childhood.
Yeah, exactly.
And it sounds like you're doing it right. A lot of respect. And it's not many people that would quit a very successful band to spend time with their kids. And, kudos to you as a father.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So what does the future look like? Are you going to keep playing pickleball tournaments? What's your aspirations there? What other projects do you have going on in the future?
Yeah, so definitely pickleball for sure. I'm trying to kind of, I need to get together with John and Lena. I want to kind of go back to my swing. It's like golf, it's like if you're not fundamentally correct, you're going to plateau. And I feel like that I've plateaued in some aspects. So I'm going to go back and try to reshape, my swing. And, I really want to try my hand at some senior pro division stuff. I don't think I'm quite there yet, but I play all the time, and I just have love for the game, and I love to keep pushing myself to improve. So, I mean, that's really what it's about, man. It's just exciting, and it motivates me to I want to get better. I want to get better.
You kind of qualify for senior pro this year, right?
Yeah.
You could play.
I think for PPA, I do, but I think for the actual senior pro tour, I don't think I do. I think you have to be 50, which I'll be 50 later this year.
I'm pretty sure if you turn 50 in the calendar year, then you're good. Cause I did the same thing in the 60s. Like I was playing the 60s at age 59. So you're probably good. And I would tell you, the way to get good at senior pro is to my opinion is to go.
Yeah.
Get a partner, just go and see that game. And because not many people out there have had the successes you've had in life, you'd figure it out. My money would be on you.
Thanks, man.
So if you got to the point where you thought like, okay, wow, okay, I'm competing in the senior pro, because there's a lot of opportunities out there. Is it something that you would do? You would travel around some and do it?
I think for starters, I would just do like, Dallas, Houston, Austin, like PPA stuff, and, whatever, just to see how it goes. And if it's something like, wow, I'm excelling at this, like, then, I would have that conversation with my wife. But it all comes back to, do I want to, start traveling again like that? And even though it's like a weekend here, a weekend.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, where we're at right now, I mean, I got baseball and soccer. I got 2 games this weekend. I got our first baseball practice. Like, I mean, there's just so much on our calendar. I'm going skiing for 3 weeks. I'm leaving March 8th, and I'm already stressed. And I'm like, dude, how am I gonna, like, I'm gonna miss like 2 soccer games and like 4 baseball practices. And I'm trying to figure out, like, how am I gonna get like another dad to step in and kind of take over while I'm gone. But it's like this saying, like, skiing is kind of, I've been skiing since I was young, and it's one of those sports where it's kind of like my last extreme sport. I was super into wakeboarding, did that for many years. I mean, my body's broken in a lot of ways from it, like my back and neck. And I'm just holding on to skiing, like my knees are still good. So I'm out there having a good time. I'm doing a Helitrax trip on the 23rd in Telluride. So best friend and I are going to go drop off a helicopter and hit some stuff, man. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. Some deep powder, man.
That sounds great. And, you're like visibly like in really good shape. Do you work out a lot?
I do, and a lot of it is from pickleball. I mean, I weighed about 225 pounds when I started playing, and I'm 180 right now.
Oh, wow.
And it definitely the cardio aspect of the game. I mean, I play for 2 to 3 hours sometimes, and you burn a ton of calories when you're doing that. And back my New Year's resolution, not this past New Year's, but the before, was like, okay, it's like I'm not drinking anymore. I'm having so much fun playing pickleball. Like, let's clean it up in the kitchen and get in the gym. Like, if you want to take this seriously, you want to be the best that you can be. You need to be in the best shape you can be. So that's where that all began. And once I cleaned it up in the kitchen with as much pickleball as I was playing and hitting the gym, like, the weight literally just fell off me. And I think a lot of ways it sounds cliche, but pickleball changed my life because of that. I mean, I don't think I would be in the shape I'm in if it wasn't for pickleball.
Yeah, it's really done that for a lot of people. It's an amazing sport that way. And also the social aspect is great. I know you've met a lot of cool people, made a lot of friends.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you taking time to be with us. We wish you the best in the future with your kids and with your pickleball game and anything that you're doing, Orb, everything. Is there anything you want to say before we let you loose?
Let's play some pickleball, man.
All right. I'll be in touch. I want to come back out to the house.
Yeah, dude. You let me know anytime, man. I'm always down for a game.
Okay. All right. Thank you, CB. Thank you so much.
Man. Good seeing you.
You too. Okay. Bye-bye.